Hi there. Just a quick note before we start. Today's episode of Separate Bathrooms contains discussions of the death of a baby. If this topic raises any issues for you, you can contact SANDS at 1300 308 307 or visit sands.org.au. That's sands.org.au. You can also find links and phone numbers for support in the show notes for this episode.
Hello and welcome back, hopefully, to Separate Bathrooms. If you're new, hello. My name's Brahe-Daddo.
I'm Daddo. I'm glad you did the one where you said, and if you're new. If this is your first time in the bathroom with us.
Yeah.
I hope it's a good one.
Also, if it is your first time, go back and listen to the previous podcast with Fitzy and BJ because it is part 2 today. The interview was so good, we could not leave it or edit it. So we've split it up into 2. Today's our second half.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I wouldn't have termed it an interview. It was a conversation.
It was.
It was a
good
conversation.
chat. Yeah, that's true.
And I wanted to take it further. I wanted to go out for lunch.
I know. All right, here we go. Part 2 of Fitzy and BJ. Enjoy.
When I was reading about you being the vigilante of your neighbourhood, I just love this story. Can you? Well, there's 2. There's the one where you made a citizen's arrest, and then there's the one that you got onto the BMX bike and rode off after a gang of naughty knife-wielding people.
You know what? I wasn't the perfect child. That's the worst thing. I mean, right. I was naughty, but I wasn't, didn't upset anyone that bad. But yeah, I think it's disrespect. When you get a bit of disrespect, that's what fires me up.
Didn't you? Where were you the other day? Bunnings or somewhere? And she saw 2 boys stealing something in one of the aisles. Oh. And I love that.
Coles.
This is so BJ. BJ just goes up to him and goes, "Come on, fellas. Honestly, you're doing it right in front of me. I can see what you're doing." And the bloke goes, "Nothing. I don't have anything down my pants." And she goes, "I just saw you dat that packet of M&Ms. What are you doing?" And he's going, "All right," takes it out. And as they're walking off, they flicker the bird.
Oh.
But I love how BJ's no fear just goes up.
Yeah.
And the guys, the kids that were digging up the flowers in Balmain, she chased up. I said, "Honey, where are you going?" She's chasing up. They're on their BMXs and she's running up the road. Then I run up the road about 2 minutes later and there's 2 cops and she's standing over these teenagers. The cops got them.
It was the best. So I think we had our poor old dog Cooper, who's passed now, so he couldn't run at all. And I think Huey was like 8, so... And I just thought, like, in Balmain, they do this beautiful garden and these kids were just grabbing the flowers and just throwing them on the pavers. I was like, boys, anyway, next minute, calling me every name, floating the board. And I'm like, no. And then I think they just said something really crude to me. And I was like, hold this dog. Yeah. I just gave chase.
No.
And funny, and the worst thing is they looked was like, "Oh, she's coming! Like she's coming for me." And we hoon around the park, and this is obviously broad daylight. And no joke, this cop must have seen me, and he's come around the back of the park. And next minute, he's there. I coming around the corner. He's got these 2 kids sitting there, and I was like, "Yeah, see that? That was great." I was like, "Gosh, that was good timing." I was like, "That is such good timing." It was awesome, and it was funny enough. I was thinking, "Gosh, this is going to sound so bad," because all they're doing is pulling up flowers. Like it wasn't like they, were breaking into a car, and I think they were just pulling up flowers. And he's like, "Don't worry, we know these 2, and thank you." And their parents, I think they were meant to be at school or whatever, and he was like, "These parents are gonna."
She's on it.
Do you ever think about the consequences before you dive in?
A little bit after, I was like, "Oh, I've got a kid and a dog. Like, where are they?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what if they've got a knife?" Like, my mum would be like, "PJ, what if they turned around and had a knife and chased you back?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know, but at the time, I don't know." I
do love it though because it shows our boys that she doesn't stand for that. And it is disrespect. You know what I mean? And it's, I think that's the number one thing that you forget about. That when your kids see you do that all the time, and number one thing in our house teaching the boys is that to be, respectable people in the community and just, making somebody's day. How easy is it? You don't have to be the smartest, the most powerful person in the room, but if you can make somebody's day and finish it with have a nice day, look them in the eye, they will remember you forever, and you never know that might come back and they go, oh, you're that lovely young boy down there. So when they see mum chasing criminals, you hope that they might do it themselves one day. Lenny wants to be a cop.
Does he really?
Yeah, I think it's because of you, honey.
I reckon that's right.
Yes.
So cool.
Oh, yeah.
We need more good cops.
I know.
Yep. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for the police force.
They're the best, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Yes,
I was raised with a lot of respect for
Yes,
my dad was a
100%.
magistrate, and it's like, no, they're all good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
I know.
tough job.
Well,
And they're doing a job, like
Yeah.
you
I
say,
know.
BJ. They've got their job to do, and
Yep.
it's a tough job. Someone's got to do it,
Yeah.
and it's the. I think so.
Well, I ran away from them for years, and now I just don't. I refuse to run anymore. I'll just say, if you need me, I'm right here.
Do you guys can you boil your, you're doing such a great job. I want to say this with your boys, and I listened, I'm a fan of the show, of your show, Fitz. And I love how emotional you guys are. You mentioned Cooper before when he passed away, and I know that hit you both hard, and you brought that onto the show, and I think that's why I listen to you in the morning with Sarah and Whips.
It's the best in the morning.
because you guys bring your heart to it,
Yeah.
and I don't feel like I'm being manipulated, or I just feel like it's just good, genuine, positive vibe. And then when things have come up, and I've seen you get. Well, what's the word I want to use?
Emotional?
Well, no, emotional, but I've seen you defend.
Oh, yeah,
And I've
defend,
seen you
yes.
stand up, and I've seen you heard you say, if you don't agree with something, you've gone, wait a second, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, hang on. Explain that, please, so I can understand it better.
Yeah.
Which is great. What I was going to say when I started was about your parenting of Lenny and Huey. Can you boil your philosophy of parenting down to, 3 or 4 points that you guys follow?
I think the main one is what we just talked about, and that's being respected in the community. And that's really, really simple. My old man wasn't the smartest bloke going around, but he just said to me, if you can just make somebody's day, it will get you a long way in life. I think that's the reason why I've had longevity in this industry, and I've been very lucky to be relatable, but also just... Yeah, and Cam, whenever you come in here for an interview, sometimes, radio shows, it can be quite awkward. It's really, you only get to know someone for 5 minutes. You've got to start a relationship with them. And then at the end of it, you get a photo and you walk out and it's this awkward. But we've always tried to make, our show accommodating, and you want people to feel safe in here. And before they come in here, we'll have a chat to you before you go live onto air. And it's really simple. So the main thing with our boys is that we just want you to look into people's eyes, shake their hands, say, have a lovely day, help somebody if they need it. And that's our number one philosophy.
Yeah, and just being able to communicate with your kids as well. I find that's really important. Like, I've always wanted to make sure the kids know that home's a safe, happy place, that they can tell us something really good and they can open up with something bad.
Yep.
I do remember when, Huey was only about 3 or something in the daycare centre, and I pick him up and the teacher's looking at me and she's like, can I just have a chat to you? And I was like, oh, okay. She's like, I'll just let you know that Houston was showing everyone what was down his pants in the group, right?
It wasn't a
like,
packet of M&Ms,
No,
was it?
no.
Unfortunately, it wasn't.
It's just been up to Coles.
Nick from Coles.
Yeah, he's just been nicking M&Ms from aisle 3. And then I was like, and I was gobsmacked. I was like, oh my gosh. Even though there's lots of that happening at home, I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember I was fuming and I was like, right. And I was like, get in the car. And I was putting him, he was like 3.5 or something. And I remember thinking, how am I going to do this? Should I just blast him because say it's wrong, wrong, wrong? Or should I sort of tackle it and think, wonder if he'll tell me about it. And then I was like, right, I'm going to go down that avenue. I'm like, so what happened today, buddy? And then he was like, and I said, what else happened? And he sort of told me. And I was like, buddy, what do you reckon the teacher would have thought if they saw that, or the little girl that was sitting next to you, or your mates? I know it's funny to your mates and stuff, but there are things that you do at home that's funny with Dad or whatever. I said, but there are things. And I remember from that moment, I thought, I can't blast him on everything he does wrong, because then he'll never want to tell me he's right.
So smart.
So
It's hard,
I was
isn't
a
it?
bit like,
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
let him say it, and then we'll sort of talk about it.
Yep.
And then I kind of semi-blast him at the end.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the one that we wanted to ask you guys about, because we are going into teenage years, and this is, I don't think our kids are 100% ready to open up to us about certain things, girls and all that kind of stuff yet. But teenage years, we're getting so many mixed sort of directions on how to parent your kids in those years. The main one that we do get is just let them go. Just be a support for them the whole time. Help them with their friends if they need to be picked up at late at night or stuff like that. But we're really conflicted about it at the moment, because we're like, do we stay strict and say you can't do this, you can't do that, or do we just let them go?
Yeah.
What do you say, honey?
Well,
I've got an answer.
Yeah.
But I want to hear what you say.
yeah. I think it's a good question, because we were much stricter with our first two.
Yes.
And our third one is really rebellious. Really rebellious. So we've sort of had to walk this line of the stricter we were, the more rebellious she got.
Yep.
The biggest rule in our house is telling the truth, no matter what the truth is, because you're actually not going to get into trouble for telling the truth. You're going to get into trouble for telling a lie. And 99% of the time, the universe has afforded us a way to always find out when the kids lie. It's bizarre.
Yeah, it always comes back.
Someone sees them, you see a message on your phone of where they've spent money. Something always happens, and they know it.
Yep.
And the older kids now tell the younger one, "Codes, you're gonna get caught.
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't.
Just be honest." So she knows that we can track her on the phone.
Yep.
So the biggest thing is trust.
Yes.
And without trust, then there's going to be consequences. So if you've broken the trust, then therefore you cannot go to this,
Great
you
advice.
cannot go to that. Once we build that trust again, then and you tell me what's going on, and now she'll go, okay, Mum, there's going to be drugs at this party, or Dad,
Alcohol.
there's going to be alcohol.
Yep.
How do you feel about that?
Okay.
What's going to go? What choices are you going to make? And sometimes she'll say, I don't know if I'm strong enough to say no.
Yep.
And I said, okay, let's just keep it at home then. Let's just stay home. We'll do drugs at home. It's fine.
What do you need?
And then we party on.
Party on, Wayne and Garth.
home.
It's good.
Home
But,
Yeah.
okay, no, just on that issue, like the drugs issue, like if she said there's going to be drugs there, I don't know if I can. Is there an element of trust from you guys that she does make the right decision? Even if she does go down that road, and I think we all know that they will at some stage.
And they will, and she has.
Yes.
She has,
And you go, okay, how did that work for you?
Yeah.
And because it puts them in danger. And that's the thing about the truth. If they're lying to you, we can't protect them.
Yep.
And also the ripple effect of that, like if she's out having a sleepover with a girlfriend at their place, and they nick out, then it's on those parents.
Yes.
Or it's on the school if they wag, or someone. And so that's been a process with her. The other two didn't do it. In America, it was a little different. I don't know if it's more puritanical, Al, or what. I don't know what it is, but the other two didn't do it in the States. The alcohol's not an issue.
Yeah.
Whereas Australia, the alcohol is really part of our culture. And it seems to
can
be a
drink
way
earlier
that,
as
it
well.
seems to be a point of growing up. This is the moment,
And proving yourself.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I will say this too with the teenagers as well, as an overall. And this came through my acting mentor. He said as a teenager, because we were playing teenagers in this thing, and he said teenagers need to break up with their parents. They need to break away. So they're going to do everything they can to push you away. And so don't take that personally.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just ride it through, because we do come back to our parents.
Exactly.
And if you remember how you were with your parents,
Yep.
where I was, I did everything I could to create a distance. But it's about putting a little boundary fence around the outside, and you can play in that.
Yep.
Play in that area and give them their head, because as you say, Fitz, they are going to try stuff, and you can't stop that.
No.
And shaming them, that's just not doesn't work.
No.
Because that just puts them further down the
away.
hole that they're going to hide it more. So, but they're all different.
Yes.
That's
The
true.
kids are all different.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
3 kids are so different.
Different.
And I'm sure your 2 boys
Yeah.
are as well.
They are.
Fascinating. No, thank you very much for that. That is interesting because you are right. I'm going to really. I think we're both going to struggle when they push us away. Because you're like, yeah, but you everybody goes through that.
Yeah,
You rebel.
It's like, where's the
I
hug?
know.
Well, our
miss
eldest,
that.
our 26-year-old never did it.
No.
She never. So you might not.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems to be a little bit more common with boys. The boys do the push away, but not always. But Lotus never did. She's moving out of home this weekend, and I'm devastated.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
This is her first move away, but she's got to do it. What would you want for your boys as they grow into men? What kind of men do you want them to be?
Well, yeah, back to respect, honesty, just be themselves, be proud of who they are. We always talk about being humble,
A high respect for women as well. That's one thing. I think in this world as well, at the moment, there's, the debate of racism in Australia and all these social issues that we have. You hope now, compared to what we grew up with and how acceptable it was when you heard your parents and their friends talk and, and those racial lines that they had in there. Now, we really want our children to be aware of this stuff. There's moments now and, in sporting history like the Adam Goods debate with the booing and that, which was really, really, really educational for Huey when we sat him down as a young boy and said, you know what, do you understand what's going on here and why these people are booing him? I said, that's really, really sad. Imagine if that was you just because it was the colour of your skin. And, stuff like that now is, you just, like BJ said, respect is the number one thing.
We talk about those things and we always want to talk to them about it when they're ready to listen as well.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like sometimes you'll say and it's kind of like, yeah. And sometimes they, really sit down and quiz us and we quiz them and then we can sort of open up about, back in the days, this is what happened and, people did get hurt or, so... We do, talking to them is massive.
Yeah.
Keep it open. It's like, dinner tables for us, no phones, no TVs on, sit together,
Talk.
even if it's 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's us.
I spoke to
That's-
Scotty Cam. Scotty Cam, I think it's a family tradition that Friday nights, the whole family, they don't just sit and have dinner. They sit around and have a couple of drinks.
Yeah.
So you're there
it's
for an hour or
nice.
two and have conversation.
Yeah.
And,
That's a great.
I think it's really important. And then they get partners involved,
Well, especially when they grow up.
People get like that.
Especially when they grow up. When
it's
when the boys are what your age your boys are. I mean, we do the same thing. We have dinner every night. No phones at the table. No media. Put music on and get someone to be the DJ for the night.
Yeah.
That's always fun.
We do that too.
I think as they get older, I think maybe that's what we'll do with Lolo. When like I'm having a bit of. Even though I said to her 2 weeks ago, you need to move out.
Yeah.
You need to go.
That's happening.
But now that she is, you're sort of like,
I keep brushing past her in the kitchen and grabbing hold of it.
I
But
know.
that's an important thing to do too, not to sock away those feelings, but to actually speak them out. So when it comes time with the trailer, and all her beds and everything is all in the back of the trailer, and we're driving on Friday. That yes, I know I'll probably have a little weep, but at least there's nothing left unsaid in the moment.
Exactly.
It needs to come up.
And that's where we've had the dinner table's been where we've talked about everything. We've shared about our mistakes. And I think that's a big thing for the teenagers is going, yep, I got drunk as a skunk here and it was really bad. And, Dad got naked and did all sorts of weird shit when he was younger. Last
that
week.
was only
last
2 weeks
week.
ago, yeah.
That's why he bought the coffee for the policeman.
It is a way apparently to get rid of COVID if you have COVID. Lie in the sun.
But there's things that I did as a young fella, and I'm like, you do have to have understanding for these kids because I mean, there's stuff that I haven't told my parents.
Still.
Yeah, my mates and I had a real rebellious stage where we were ganking stuff, which was stealing stuff. We were damaging stuff.
Property.
It was, we just, and I look back now and I love my mates. The stuff that we went through so many highs and lows and we were closer than ever. But, you do have that understanding. It's interesting. Do I tell the boys some of these things that I got up to?
There will be a right. There will be a right.
You just
time.
don't want them to think, well, Dad, you kicked a car in, so I can do this. So that's what I don't want.
Yeah.
I'm with you. You don't. I don't think they have to know everything.
No.
I really
They
don't.
need to be. It needs to be relatable. Like, Dad wouldn't have any idea about being drunk because he's never been drunk. Well, that's just ridiculous.
Yes.
They need to know that you've had experiences that that it's relatable.
And I think it's important to know, because I too did some violent things through my teens with my mates. You know, it's important to know why you did them. So if they do that, then you can speak on that level and go, you know what, I did the same thing. Yeah. And this is why I was doing it. Why are you doing it?
Yes.
What's going on for you that you would want to break something or destroy something that's just there?
It's all experimenting as well, and there's probably a bit of peer pressure in there. I mean, back when we grew up, we didn't have mobile devices, and people, filming us all the time and all this stuff. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but a lot of it, a bit of pressure, I feel like, will come down to it. And I just hopefully, I've always said, my grandfather said to me, make mistakes, just don't make the same mistake twice, sort of thing. So, that we're prepared for them to make mistakes, but we've always said, just try not to do that again.
Yeah.
And like you said, reverse the roles. How would you feel if someone, grabbed your windscreen wiper and pulled it off or took money and,
Boys too. I mean, we're action orientated, and we're feeling our oats at that point. Suddenly we're strong.
And
you run fast, and you've got this deep voice, and what's down your pants just doubled in size.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell's that all about?
Can't get your hand out.
So hopefully they're not M&Ms from Coles.
There are a lot of people getting M&Ms now.
But that's what I mean. I mean, there's just that idea of channeling your energies, and that's why I think sports is great, and getting out in the fresh air, jumping in the ocean, getting humbled by life a bit.
Also getting to know their friends as well. I find that's really good as well.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes I'm the embarrassing mum, but just sort of getting to know them as well. I feel like
if you're the
really
cool
good.
mum and dad, that the kids want to come over and hang out with. Yeah, I agree. You got
that?
Well, I don't think we're at that age yet. Huey's mates are funny. They're 12-year-olds, and they're like, hi.
Sweet. They always say hi to us.
I don't call you Mr. Fitzgerald anymore.
No, that's
Do you know what? I'm really shattered by that.
Yeah.
I would love to be Mr. Fitzgerald.
make him, I guess.
I
if you
know.
really wanted to, but
What do they call you? What do they call you? Do they call you Fitzy?
No, Fitzy.
It should be Mr.
So
Fitzy.
Huey's
Mr.
footy
Fitzy
team,
to
they all
you,
call me
champ.
Fitzy, and I'm like, I'd love to be Mr. Fitzgerald. It's like even BJ's nephews don't call her Auntie BJ. And I was like, that was a respect thing for me as well.
Yeah.
We had Mum and Dad's friends we used to call Auntie and Uncle.
Yeah.
And they weren't even my Auntie and Uncle.
And you still do, don't you?
And I still call them Uncle Dennis and Auntie Jen. And they're just friends of Mum and Dad.
Yeah.
Times have changed, honey.
Well, the other one is I call BJ's mum. And that's only because Mum and Dad call their in-laws Mum and Dad as well.
yeah.
But I've had a lot of people say to me, that's really weird that you're calling her mum.
Well, my mum likes it, so that's a good thing.
Absolutely. I think
But
it's lovely.
funny because I'm really close to Ryan's mum, but I can't call her mum.
Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable calling her mum.
And it really is between the two of you.
That's the
Between
thing.
each to their
Between you
own.
And it's what I grew up with.
Yeah.
So Mum and Dad used to do the exact same things.
He even calls me mum. So,
I call her Mum. Mummy! Mummy!
Yes, Daddy, what do you want?
Oh, gosh. So throughout your marriage, you have had, of course, some ups and downs like we always do in marriages. There was a specific incident that, obviously I want to be very sensitive around this because you have shared this before, but I know it must have been an incredibly devastating and heartbreaking experience. You did lose a child to stillbirth, is that correct?
No, it wasn't stillbirth. She had a really bad case of spinal bifida, which was detected when she was in 15 weeks in womb. So that's a regular routine blood test that you get around that time.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off as well, but
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so it was obviously our first time trying for children, and we were lucky enough to fall pregnant straight away, and everything seems to be smooth. My sisters have had children, and there's been absolutely no hiccups there. So I knew of spinal bifida, but never thought it would cross my path. And then all the other blood tests came back fine, and then this one came back as a high risk. And then obviously we had to have further scanning done, and it just confirmed that she was in a really bad way in womb. So
It was a severe case, so she wouldn't have lasted too long.
So the poor
Gosh.
So we had to make a decision. It was a really tough one as well. And the one thing that I do remember is that I thought, oh, God, this could break us. Like, this is pretty full on.
Yeah.
And the doctor said, my advice is that you give birth and I think you should hold the child and spend some time with the child. And I instantly went, nah. No way. I'm not letting BJ. This will really affect her. I'm not letting you do that. And BJ was like, oh, honey, I think I want to. And
Well, it was more, I remember just thinking, I don't know how I'm going to feel. I don't know if I'm going to be really upset or sad. I was like, I don't really want to make that decision right now.
Yeah.
We'll just see how the day pans out. And to be honest, it was the best day possible.
Yeah,
you know what I
it
mean?
was.
Like, unfortunately, it was a horrible situation, but the outcome, the day, the support we got, Ryan and I, like it.
We got to spend time with Kaylee J. It was a little girl.
Yep.
We named her Kaylee J. And I thought that was going to haunt both of us. But do you know what? It really was. It was a moment just to say thank you. We spent a bit of time with her and we said goodbye. We said our goodbye. And it was really emotional. And you know what, Alison? It brought us so much closer together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an amazing day.
How many weeks gestation was she?
She was like 15, not even
15.
16.
Oh, she was teeny.
Yeah, she was, she fit in my hand. I remember looking at her. So obviously with spinal bifida, you have a spinal damage.
Yeah.
And normally they say when you're in a really bad case, the skin doesn't grow over the back because normally when things like that, there's a defect in growing, the skin stops growing because they know that there's a problem down there. And that problem caused brain problems, which would end up being feeding problems, breathing problems, walking problems. So I remember when she came out and she was just like a little doll. Like she was perfect. Like she had fingernails and
She fit
and
onto
little
BJ's
lips
hand.
and-
Like it was.
And I remember just touching her little lips and I was like, oh my gosh, there's a little tongue in there as well.
Yeah.
But I remember I had her and I was like, I've got to make sure that her back is open. I know it sounds horrible, but I was thinking if that is wrong on the scans or whatever. And funny enough, she had this really big open wound up her back. And I remember that to me, I was thinking that's a sign that we've done the right thing.
Yeah.
It was tough, and I remember thinking, why, did I eat a wrong piece of salami or anything? But unfortunately, this was not a genetic thing. It was just a growth, 1 in 30,000, I think it was. And, we walked out of the hospital that day, that night, and I remember everyone was thinking, what's happened with Ryan? He's not on the radio and all these, stories. And I remember we sat home that night and we were like, oh, do we just say we had a miscarriage, and then just call it quit like that. And we were like, yeah. And then the next day I woke up, I was like, I don't want to be sitting here today talking about a miscarriage when she was here for a reason.
That's right.
And this does happen. It happens one in 3 women, and it's okay. It was our decision. It wasn't yours.
Yeah.
It wasn't Mum's. And we made that together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very emotional day. And then in your mind you think, well, are we supposed to have children? And you know what? My first thought was, God, there's people that can't even have children out there.
Yeah.
And we were so lucky. That was 2008, September 2008, and then we had Huey in August 2009.
And were you concerned? Of course, you must
terrified.
have. Yeah, I know. You could only imagine that fear going into seeing what was going on with him. But
Yeah. I mean, obviously, all I had to do, which I was doing prior with Kaylee anyway was just up the folic acid, but I had to
Okay,
get the
yeah.
double dose. But just the extra scanning and stuff for both boys were terrifying. But
You know, the other thing as well, we come from very different families. Like my side of the family, it's mum's from farm, country. Keep your feelings inside. You know, if they had tragedy, you know, with animals, family members, and you know what? You move on. It happened for a
Pick up,
reason,
move
and you
on.
move on. That's my family. BJ's wants to talk about it, emotions. We need to get this. This is what I love about my wife. If we ever have an argument at home, it has to be settled that night.
Yeah.
But you cannot wake up the next day and still have that in your mind. And we always settle it that night, and it's done. You can go to sleep fine. So this was a really big situation where I was like, oh, shit, I can't just move on from this. I can't. I've got to be there for her.
Yeah,
And
right.
I think that was the reason why it brought us even closer.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing that an event that could have
destroyed.
destroyed you actually brought you way closer together? And I think, you know, we've had a few of these sort of things in our marriage as well, and that becomes the fabric and of what covers your marriage and what you wrap yourselves up in, and it's amazing. So it was so lovely to hear that perspective as well, because I'm sure there are people out there that needed to hear that as well.
Absolutely.
We do a thing called the 2-minute shower to wind up. We keep our answers short so we can conserve water.
Yep.
Even though in Sydney we've been dumped on for the last
Oh
7 months.
my
and the
God.
last thing we need is more water.
2-hour shower now.
Yeah, piss off Mother Nature. She's out of control, isn't she?
My garden loves it.
What? Each of you answer this for yourself.
Okay.
Okay. So, what is your best quality?
Are you first, honey? And that's not my answer.
You can jump in any time. What is my best quality?
Your best quality.
Loyalty, I think, is my best quality.
I just think fun-loving. I know that's 2 words.
That's okay. Who do you admire?
Oh, my mother. Yeah. And I know that's probably just a cliche sort of.
No, I love it.
Yeah, I think parents, apart from parents, I have a sporting background. So, you know, there's people that I look up to in the footy field and stuff like that as well that, like you said, I think the sporting environment is great for kids and getting part of that team environment. I think I would have been way more rogue when I was younger if I wasn't part of a footy team and people pulling me in the line. So,
Sport.
What does your perfect day look like?
do you know what? Actually, do you know what? Can I just say this? The other day, we actually laid in bed together. The kids weren't home, and we laid in bed together, completely naked, right? And we were
It was
like,
like midday. It wasn't
it
the
was
morning.
midday, and we were like, we haven't done this for so long, and we used to do it all the time. Do you remember when you used to just lay in bed for hours? You know, with the
Not a
love of
care
your
in the
life,
world.
with not a care in the world.
Yes, I
And
do.
now you don't do it at all.
Yeah, it's a long
Before the
time
dog
ago, but
Yeah.
Actually,
One
no.
day.
Actually, no.
Oh.
No.
So the other day, I reckon it would have been for about 20 minutes, half an hour. We just laid there and went, this is awesome.
Yeah,
And
great.
now we're going to go pick up the kids
Yeah.
from school.
Dog scratching at the door.
yeah.
What about you, BJ?
Perfect day. I like, see, Friday nights is normally our sort of day. Kids have finished school. So normally we, pour wine at 4 and make a nice, meal. I sort of, my perfect day or night would be family time, sitting around the dinner table, having a laugh.
Barossa Shiraz.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Is there one moment in your life that you would like to revisit?
Oh, that is a great question.
I reckon giving birth to my boys. It was tough, but yeah, I was so proud of my body to be able to produce such an amazing, for us, That was, I know it was tough, but I'd probably relive that for sure.
Yeah.
What is a moment in my life that I would love to revisit? I've had a pretty amazing life just in regards to sport and what I'm doing now and getting married and having kids. I'd love my wedding day again. We got married on the Adelaide Oval and it was 40 degrees. And our surprise to everyone, and no one knew this, but we got 180 little footies made up saying thanks for coming to our wedding.
Yeah.
And at 10 o'clock at night, and Adelaide Oval's like carpet, right? And Les Burdett, the curator, said at 10 o'clock, I'm going to turn the lights on. And we spread 180 footies out on the oval.
And did you kick them to each guest?
So
they just ran out.
They had no idea. Just before they turned the lights on, we got on the mic and just went, hey, everyone, we've got a gift for you. Everyone gets a footy each. It's on the footy oval now, but everyone has to go out and have a kick. BJ was in a wedding dress and everyone was just running around the Adelaide Oval.
Shoes went flying, high heels.
10 o'clock at
kids.
night, it was 28 degrees. Blokes tops off, girls are running around. There were nudie runs. It was unbelievable.
Oh,
Love was in the air.
So
Oh,
fun.
that's what you'd like to
There you
relive.
go.
Yeah.
That is
I love that. All right. Swans or crows?
I'd lay crows.
Okay.
It's got to be the Crows, Cam.
Go crows.
All right, last question. Your partner in one word.
One word.
Can be one sentence too.
Oh, this is really hard. Okay. I want to pick the right word. I'm just trying to make sure it's
Complete me.
Oh, well, that's two. You can put the two. Yeah, complete me.
Complete.
For me, you know when you just find someone right, for me, BJ is just perfection.
Is that the word? I'll take it.
Perfection. Yep. Perfection. Because I don't know. It's for me, it's I've never looked at any other woman. I've just knew from the start and that was it, you know?
Yeah.
I think as you get older as well, like you said, you go through these moments in life where you have your ups and downs, and loyalty to me is very big.
Yeah.
So what we've been through, I think that just grows even stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's perfection to me.
Gorgeous.
You guys, I think we need to take this conversation out of the bathroom and to a restaurant where we continue because it's been one of the easiest conversations
Yeah.
that we've had. And thanks for bringing yourselves so fully to this. It's been fantastic to get to know you, and I really do think we should go out for lunch after this and spend more time together. We'll come over to Balmain and hang out.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Love that.
would love to.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much for having us on, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right. And off they go. I was serious about saying let's continue this chat outside of the bathroom. Go have some lunch. They're great people.
Really great people. And I always say, I love being able to be in the studio with people. It's so much. You really feel the warmth coming off them as well. Like that, it was sort of like this love cloud above the two of them. They're just so in love, and
They really
their
are.
love story is beautiful. They're a beautiful couple, raising their sons to be emotionally intelligent, and I just love to hear that about parents doing that. So really enjoyed that chat.
Yes, it was full of heart.
It was indeed.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Take good care. Bye for now.